In this video, we will be doing some maintenance with the TP22. Now, what we will need for that is the either NOVRITSCH maintenance kit, where you will find everything that you need for this particular cleaning, along with the collapsible cleaning rod, or you can use the typical plastic cleaning rod that sometimes come with other replicas. I leave that up to you. It's totally doable with those things. Also, rubbing alcohol, some lubricants, cleaning patches, and some tissues that we can, wipe everything off nice and clean. Without further ado, let's first start with removing the magazine. We will not need that. Magazine maintenance is a separate video that you will also find in the Academy as well. The first thing you will probably need to clean is the barrel. So we need to get to the barrel. Now, if you cannot disassemble it like this, that means the hammer is back and we actually need to pull the trigger without the magazine, and then we will be able to disassemble it very easily. All right, we take it apart. Just like so, super easy. And we have the barrel and we can start maintaining the barrel. Now, this part you probably want to do somewhat regularly because the barrel is where the accuracy is made and we want to keep everything nice and clean. You don't have to do it after every single game, but if you really care about like peak performance, I would recommend like once a month, maybe every 2 games, 3 games, 4 games. It depends. If you start noticing some decreases in accuracy, it's definitely a good time to clean the barrel. So we will put the patch right here. We will put some rubbing alcohol on it and we can start the cleaning. Don't put too much of it. You just want it slightly soaked, but you don't want it everywhere. And we will go from the back to the front, just like the BB would travel. I just like to usually push everything out. If I see at the end that it's super dirty, I would even remove it so I don't drag it back into the barrel. If it's clean, then it's okay. Now, the friction of the patch was very light, so I'm gonna increase the friction by using 2 of these patches so I get it nice and clean. You don't want to overdo it with the friction, but you don't also want to, kind of just lightly touch it. That will not clean much. So 2 patches this time. A bit of rubbing alcohol, and now we can go in. And that is much better. Now it's actually grabbing. If you feel like you really need to push in the cleaning rod, that means your hop-up is set too high and the bucking is protruding a lot into the barrel, which stop, don't do it, don't force it in there, just slightly decrease the hop-up so it's a little bit easier to go in. You do want to clean the hop-up bucking, but you don't want to rip it, so best would be to stay somewhere in the middle with the hop-up settings, not too high, not too low, which allows for a proper cleaning. All right, the patch is nice and clean, so we can remove it, and we would be done with the barrel cleaning. We definitely don't want to put any oils anywhere near this area, because if it would get onto the bucking, the hop-up would stop working. Hop-up works on friction. That's why we are putting rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol on it, so we dissolve it and clean it nicely. Like I said, we are done with this part. This you should do somewhat regularly if you want to keep the accuracy at its highest performance level. Now, when it comes to the rest, absolutely not needed. I would recommend doing it maybe once a year. It's not really that necessary. Of course, it depends on how often you are playing. If you drop the pistol in mud, then probably a good idea to do it. But if everything works nice and smooth, no need to touch any of these parts. But for the sake of this maintenance video, we will go a little deeper in that. If you want to completely disassemble everything, you can totally do that. We have disassembly and subsequent assembly videos for both of these parts, basically to the last screw. Most people are not ready for such an endeavor, so we will keep this a little bit more lightweight and we will do, the regular maintenance that most people would consider doing. Some maintenance is better than no maintenance whatsoever, so let's meet somewhere in the middle. First, I'm just gonna take a some paper towels, paper tissues, toilet paper, whatever you have at your disposal. And let's just make sure that we clean everything that looks like it could use some cleaning. You see, I just wiped one part and this is already dirty. So I'm just gonna wipe everything that I can with the access I have from here, and I'm gonna focus on the friction points. So these hooks where the slide rests on, here in the back, all the sears, everything that I can access that has some friction to it. Don't always wipe it with the dirtiest part. You don't want to spread it around. You want to clean it. So if you see that it starts getting dirty, you know, stop and change the side of the tissue. All right. Now with this part, take your time, make sure that everything is as clean as possible. Once you are done, what we will do is that we will add some lubricants to the parts where it actually matters. Now, how do you recognize a part that needs lubrication versus a part that just should stay clean and it never really touches anything? Wear points. If you already shot your pistol, if you already played a game, you will start seeing some, you know, wear areas where the slide is rubbing onto the surfaces, the sears, and so on and so forth. Now, where would that be? Here we see a wear point. Here also we can put a little bit underneath to make sure that it's nice and lubricated. We have the sears like right here, for example. This one also is rubbing on top of the slide. Then we have the hammer sears. So I will try to show you on the video how it works. This part that I'm touching right now is catching the actual hammer. So when I go down, you will see how it engages. Also, this surface is a wear point from this auto sear. Now it catched it right here. And now when I go, this one also catches it right here. So there is one sear here, one sear in the back. This one is for the full auto. So the slide will basically push on it and it will allow you to reset. And now I can fire again. So these are the points along with this one right here and this one that I want to apply a little bit of lubrication. The key is a little bit. If I could choose between too much or nothing, I would definitely take nothing. So, you know, let it sink in and let's make sure that we are using just a little bit. Now, what is good lubrication? Would be silicone grease. You can put it, you know, on something, probably on something like this, and you can just use a little bit of that, and you can just put it on top of the surfaces, on the bottom. Remember, once you rack the slide, it will spread it around, and you don't really need to worry too much about how do you put it exactly and where. It will find its way where it matters if you put it on the right spot where the wear is happening. If you don't have grease, you can also use a little bit of silicone oil. This is actually a bit easier to apply, but you have to be careful not to put too much of this inside. It has a little nozzle, so we'll be able to get in places like here and just lightly dab it. Once you see it's there, that's enough. You don't need to put more in there. Now I will lock it back. I'm gonna put a little bit on the surface right here. Now I'm just gonna work it a little. Make sure that it spreads where it should spread. We can also do the following. We can put a little bit on our finger, spread it around so you don't put too much, and just lightly go over these areas. Also, the ball bearing here could use a little bit of a film if you wiped it off completely. We can spread this around a bit right here, and also a little bit underneath this, like so. If you see that you put too much, wipe it off again, start again. Like I said, less is better than too much. All right. If you see that you overdone it somewhere, that it's maybe seeping out, you know, just wipe it lightly. You will soak up part of it, but some of it will stay in place. All right, when we look at the bottom side of this, basically here you can nicely see where you can consider applying lubrication. It's right here. This is where this part is contacting, so you can put it a little bit here, here, also on this surface, in these channels, here in the back. This one, not really that necessary. Like I said, we already did it on the other side. This is not moving because this is the F-marked one, so full auto is disabled, but this one would be moving back and forth. So, you know, we first can wipe it clean. And also in this channel. Over time, there can be some buildup. This is a pretty much new gun, so it doesn't really require maintenance yet, but I want to make this video so you can do it whenever it's needed. All right, to keep this video short, let's call it clean. Put a little bit more time into it than what I did, but I don't want to make this too long. Now to reapply, we will put a little bit here, a little bit there. We already done it here, so there is not much that needs to be done. Now, what you should definitely not touch is this area right here, this area right here, nowhere near where the gas is traveling through the barrel. Why? Like I said, the bucking should stay clean and oil-free. If you would put it anywhere near this area, that wouldn't be the case, and you would screw up your hop-up effect or accuracy. We can also put a little bit, again, just a tiny little bit on here. Try to work it in there. This is actually better to completely disassemble it, like in the disassembly video, and do it properly. This is very basic, but I understand most people don't want to go as far, so this is better than nothing. Spread it around, and then we can put a little bit on this surface right here and here. Put a tiny bit too much. I'm just gonna wipe it again, like so. And there we go. Now, before we close it again, check that there is no loop on the nozzle. We don't want that. And we can proceed with the assembly, and the gun will be nice and maintained. There we go. Work the slide a little bit so it has a chance to spread, and there we have it. That's as far as we need to go. Like I said, this I tend to do once a year. Depends on how often I'm playing with the particular pistol. It's not really necessary to do it too often, only when you see some build-up and you kind of determine, okay, now it's probably a good time. You will definitely notice when it's time to do this. Now, like I said, you can really go deep and you can disassemble it to the last screw and get to every single part, but we need to keep this video relatively simple so it's applicable to most people, even the less tech-savvy among us. So yeah, some maintenance is better than none, and this is definitely a good starting point.